Hello, I am Gunter. Let us look at your Vanagon today.
Hey Gunter, when was my last oil change?
Your last oil change was on 01/07/2026 at 201,350 miles. That was about 4 months ago, and you're now at 202,230 miles, so you're about 880 miles past that service. According to the Bentley Manual schedule, a 1987 Wasserboxer should get an oil and filter change every 7,500 miles or every 6 months, whichever comes first. You're well within both intervals right now, so no immediate concern there. However, I noticed your oil filter was last replaced on 01/05/2025, over a year ago, while your oil was changed more recently in January 2026. That's an odd split. When you did the oil change in January, did you replace the filter at that time? If you changed the oil but kept the old filter from January 2025, that's not ideal. The filter should have been replaced with the January 2026 oil change. What brought this up? Are you noticing any issues with the engine, or just doing the maintenance check?
Hello, I'm Gunter, your Vanagon Diagnostic Assistant.
Hey Gunter, my turn signals are working, but my hazard lights are not.
Given your 1987 Vanagon was a Bowser with automatic transmission and 2WD if your turn signals work but the hazard lights do not, the most common causes are faulty hazard flasher relay. The hazard relay is separate from the turn signal relay. Even if turn signals work, a bad hazard relay will prevent hazards from blinking. For the hazard switch, the switch itself can fail internally, causing no flashing when hazards are activated. Wiring or ground issues. Since the Vanagon electrical system is known for ground problems, a poor ground at the hazard switch or fuse box can cause this. Fuse blown for hazard socket. Check the fuse box under the driver's dash for any blown fuses related to hazards. I recommend first checking the hazard flasher rail. On your Vanagon, it is usually located under the dash near the fuse box. Swap it with a known good relay of the same type if you have one, or test it with a multimeter. Next, inspect the hazard switch for proper operation and clean the contacts if possible. Also, clean and inspect the fuse box contacts and grounds under the dash. Corrosion there is a very common cause of intermittent or failed hazard operation as noted in the Vanagon Wiki electrical overview. If you want, I can guide you through testing the hazard relay and switch step by step.
Hey Gunter, thank you. Exit.
Verstanden, closing the shop for today. Auf Wiedersehen.
Law Drifters, Jay Barrick, Sandy Sage, California Drifter coming at you from the beautiful buttermilks in the eastern Sierras with a new hobby of mine to share with those of you who are Vanagon owners. I know when I was doing the California Drifter series that many of you who were following me were Vanagon owners or interested in Vanagons. I'll just call you Vanagon enthusiasts. So I wanted to share with you a new project that I'm working on. Earlier this year, I discovered Raspberry Pi single board computers and have since had a blast playing with all their sensors and tools and programming them, and particularly experimenting with AI. And all of that has led to Gunter-AI. So just a word for all of you California Drifter fans. This is not a typical California Drifter video. However, in November, I'm going to be celebrating my 10-year anniversary of van life, and I am going to put out a 10-year anniversary update video about me, van life, and it'll be hopefully of interest to those of you who were following me back in the first 5 years of van life. But this video is probably more interesting to those of you who are Vanagon enthusiasts, Raspberry Pi enthusiasts, or you enjoy tinkering with all these great new AI tools. So back in February, actually back in January, I had one of the scariest experiences that I've ever had with van life. I was driving from Sun City West out to Joshua Tree, and I was approaching Desert Center, and I had gotten behind a slow semi, and I turned into the left-hand lane to pass him. And as soon as I turned into the left-hand lane, I heard a thunk, followed by an immediate difficulty steering and zero brakes. And it was frightening. Here I am at going 70 miles an hour in a Vanagon, passing a semi, and suddenly had lost all control. Luckily, it ended okay. I was able to slow down, get in the right-hand lane, and get off at the Desert Center exit, which was luckily right there. And what had happened, I'd blown out a wheel bearing. And I had then spent the next few days at Eddie's Auto Repair in Indio. Eddie, for those of you who don't know, is a VW specialist mechanic who has been working on Volkswagens for over 40 years. And getting to spend 3 days with Eddie as he had to literally grind off the bearing race off the spindle of my Vanagon and sand it down in order to get new bearings back on there. He worked magic, and I was just so impressed with his skills and his knowledge of Volkswagens. And I had just discovered Raspberry Pis and just decided to say, hey, let's work on a Vanagon Diagnostic Assistant, or Gunter-AI, my Vanagon mechanic. So you got a taste of Gunter in the introduction video. What I want to do in this video is I'll walk you through some of the features of Gunter-AI. I'll talk about how to use the program, and then end up with how you can download this program from GitHub and try it yourself. Just a word of warning, I only have 2 versions of Gunter-AI available on GitHub right now. I have a Mac OS version, and I have a Raspberry Pi or Linux Debian version that's out there. So you will need Linux or Mac OS right now to run Gunter-AI. However, I'm hoping that one of you with Windows out there downloads it and can figure out how to convert it to Windows, so that there's a Windows version out there as well, because I understand a lot of you may not have a Mac OS, and a lot of you won't have a Raspberry Pi. So with that, let me get into showing you some of the features of Gunter-AI. Okay, so when you first open up Gunter, this is what you're going to see. I have this, those of you who are Star Trek fans may recognize the LCARS design. I thought it was just interesting to kind of think of the Vanagon Diagnostic as like a Star Trek Enterprise type tool using AI behind it. So I've got the LCARS design on it. You'll see the version number and the name of the program up in the upper left, and then up in the upper right you'll see an exit shop. I've also got today's date, and then up in the upper right you'll see the AI provider that's currently being used. And also notice it says Pico Voice here. That means there is a wake word. This is the setting that you're going to want to use when you want to use the voice features of Gunter. There's also a text version if you don't have a microphone or set up to use that version of it as well. So there's lots of different features in there. I'm going to start on the left-hand side. You can always open the Bentley Manual that's part of the system by clicking Open Bentley, and it's going to automatically open up to the page that was open last. So that's just it's a feature or a quirk of the program, whatever it is. But that's how it's going to open up. You could probably figure out if you play with the code a little bit on how to open it if you want to open it to the front page. But it is a full Bentley manual. The 1991 Bentley Manual has been scanned into the database behind Gunter. Let me just talk real quick about the database before I get started, because I think that's one of the most interesting features of the program. What I've done is I've taken the Bentley Manual, which is 1,400 paged OCR PDF, the Digifant Manual, which is I think a 30 or 40 page manual, and I've combined that with some community knowledge. And to do that, I have injected or ingested in AI terms the entire Samba FAQ from the Samba.com forums into the vector database that Gunter uses as well. So the brains behind Gunter, or the database, the giving Gunter the right information, is a combination of the Bentley Manual, the Digifant Manual, and the Samba.com forums. So that's the knowledge base. And then the AI knowledge base on top of that, depending on which AI you use. So the more knowledgeable AIs, the Opuses, the ChatGPT 5.5s, the Minimax 2.7s, whatever your flavor is, the real frontier models are going to do superbly. And then as you use quicker models, faster models, smaller models, you'll get quicker responses, but you may not get the same results. So let me close the manual here. There's just a close button up in the upper right hand corner. So you have the open manual, so you can open that anytime. Also, whenever Gunter is referencing a specific page in the manual, he'll pop that page up. So in that question before, we were asking about wheel bearings. He popped up the relevant page within the Bentley Manual on wheel bearings. I've also got this chat history feature. What this is, and I'll go ahead and click that, it's going to give you a complete history of all the questions that you ask Gunter. So every question that you ask Gunter is going to be logged in a service history text file. You can at any time wipe that file clean by just going in and deleting the content if you want to wipe it, but it does store that history. And then Gunter uses your last 4 sessions as information, as background information as well. So if you've been asking about a specific topic, Gunter will remember the last 4 conversations that you've had, and then that's it. If you want Gunter to forget those earlier conversations, you can just go down here and click New Session, and that's going to start the new session. As I started developing Gunter-AI, I realized that it was going to be important that Gunter know a couple of things. One, what specific Vanagon that you have. So I set up a My Vanagon dialog box. I'll pop that up here, where you can select your year. And I've got 1980 all the way to 1991, all Vanagon years. You can select your engine. Of course, there's the air-cooled models, and then there were some diesel models as well. So select whether you have the air-cooled, the Wasserboxer, or the diesel. And then you want to select your transmission, manual or automatic, and then whether or not you have a synchro or not. The reason, of course, for those of you who are Vanagon owners, you'll know that it's important that Gunter be referencing your specific model of Vanagon. That's why the first thing you're going to want to do when you set up this program is to go in and select your vehicle. That way, all of Gunter's answers are going to be relevant to your model, and he's not going to give you an air-cooled answer if you have a Wasserboxer. So once you've set your model up, you can hit Save and Close. And then the second thing you're going to want to do, or second thing that became apparent, is you're going to want to give Gunter information about your service history. And so I've created this service history tab that you can click. And at the top, what you can do is enter in today's date and put in your current mileage. That way, Gunter knows exactly where your van is today. And then you can update that throughout the year whenever you use Gunter, but it's a great way to store your information about your oil changes, oil filter, coolant flush. I've got transmission service, brake pads, spark plugs, brake fluid, and tires. And I've got room for a couple other service items, and here's where I'd love to get some feedback from those of you in the Vanagon community. What else should I put down here? What else, what other part replacement is important to document so that Gunter can give the best answer possible? When you do come in here, I think the second thing after selecting your model vehicle, you want to come into the service history and enter in the information that you have. Just click the enter button, enter in the date that you did the service, the mileage of the service, save it, and that information will be stored now in your service history, and then you can update that each time you use it. But that's going to be very valuable to help give you good answers from Gunter. Gunter can look at that service history. In fact, Gunter is prompted to look at that service history every time you use the app, and so you may get some reminders, even if you didn't ask for them. As I saw in the earlier question, Gunter was reminding me that I didn't replace my oil filter when I did my oil change back in January, but I usually don't. Gunter doesn't recommend it. It's your call on that model. And then finally, the second features that I have, or the third settings feature, is down here, the settings button. If you click on that, I wanted to put in different voices. When I first started using Gunter, I put in an international voice that sounds a little bit German. The trick is if you use a German model, it speaks German. And so I wanted an English version of Gunter, which was kind of hard to get the right accent on there. So instead, if you don't like the original Gunter accent, you can change it to, I have a few American accents set up, and then there's a whole bunch of other accents that you can try by going into the settings. So what I'll do here is I'm going to switch from the Gunter's default, which is L2 Arctic Speaker 0. I'm going to switch him to Joe. I really like Joe's voice. Joe sounds like a mechanic. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I'm going to test Joe here.
Hello, I am Gunter. Hello, I am Gunter, your Vanagon Diagnostic
If you like
Assistant.
the voice, go ahead and save it, and that's going to become your new voice model when you're speaking to Gunter. Next tab over, you can see I've got API providers. I think this is going to be a nice feature, for particularly for those of you who like to really tweak or play with different AI providers to see what kind of results you get. You can switch API providers on the fly through the program. So you can see here I have 4 different options for you set up right now. I may add others. Actually, I have 5 different options set up, and I'll get to Ollama in a little bit, but I have 4 cloud providers set up. To use a cloud provider, you will need to get an API key. If you're new to AI, if you're a Vanagon enthusiast, but you've not done anything with AI yet, I do recommend you go out to Claude. Go out to just type in Claude AI API key. It'll get you set up with a key. You will need to open an account and put some money in. You can start with $10, and by my estimate, you can use that $10 that you put into whatever API provider you use. That should last you a long time, depending on which models you use. In this particular case, for when I use Anthropic, I use the Haiku model, which is the cheapest model. I have found that Haiku gives very good answers, very good responses very quickly, and it's also very affordable. But if you're using OpenAI, let me go through and show you how you can change the models. So here I'll go into Claude. By the way, you will need to put in your API key. So once you get your API key, you can paste it up here. And if you need to see it, you can hit show key, but I don't want to show you my API key. Then you can go hit fetch models. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull that API key, all the different models that you have available. So Opus 4.7 just came out, but keep in mind that's a very expensive model. I've been using this Haiku 4.5 and getting terrific results. But select your model from the list, go ahead and hit save. In this case, I've already had, well, I'll go ahead and hit save, and then that will save your model to it. With OpenAI, I'm going to go ahead and click OpenAI here. If I fetch the models from OpenAI, you can get kind of a look at all the models that you can get with your API key from OpenAI. A lot of choices there. Of course, that you can choose from OpenAI depending on that. Now, I added Grok, but I don't have a Grok API key, and after spending multiple dollars on all these other API keys, I'm going to leave that up to you. So I haven't tested Grok yet, but I've got Grok in there. If you are a Grok user and have an API key, go ahead and do that. If you are a Grok user and testing on Grok, please let me know if there's any bugs with it. It is the only model provider I have not tested yet. And then this is a great option as well. I'm going to OpenRouter. For those of you who are not familiar, I'm going to go ahead and fetch this model. You're going to see all the different options we have here. For those of you who are not familiar with OpenRouter, OpenRouter will give you that one API key. If you get your OpenRouter API key from them, you can use that one key to access, I don't want to say hundreds, but dozens of AI models through that OpenRouter key. So if you are new to AI, actually that may be a better option than going directly through Anthropic. But again, I don't want to recommend everybody's got their favorite AI. I'm giving you choices here. But I do think if you are new to AI, I'm going to take my earlier comment back. Get the OpenRouter API key. Again, put $10 in there, and then you can experiment with different models. OpenRouter shows you the cost for each model, and they also offer several free models that are worth looking at. I've had great success with Nemotron 3 Super. It's a 120 billion parameter model that's absolutely free on there. So even though you do need an API key, so you got to put some money in, you can use their free models and never pay a dime in API costs. So there are free options available through OpenRouter as well. Here I'm just going to scroll through some of the options. You can see Ollama, Google Gemini. You've got the new Gemini 4 models in there. You've got DeepSeek, ByteDance, and then you also have all the Anthropic models. So if you do like Claude like I do, you can pick a model from that. Aeon Labs, there are probably now hundreds of OpenRouter models out there. That's a great place to start if you're just getting into AI. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. And then finally, the last option I have for you is a local model. What you can do is if you have Ollama installed, which is a tool that allows you to run models directly on your desktop and not have to pay any API costs, you can install that. Just a note of warning, I have this installed on my Raspberry Pi, 8 gigabyte Raspberry Pi, and it will not run an Ollama model fast enough using Gunter-AI. You need a pretty powerful machine to run it. Now, I also have a Mac Mini M4 that I have Gunter installed on, and I did my Mac OS development on, and it will run several models very fast locally. So if you have a new computer, and if you have a new computer with lots of RAM, you can download a local model and then not have to and use Gunter-AI direct through Ollama and not have any API or token fees. So that's another option in there. I'll just show you real quick how you can select your Ollama model. Again, if you go into Edit and you click Fetch Models, you can see these are the models that I have downloaded right now to this Raspberry Pi. So I've got the Gemma 4 E2B, the E4B, and the Llama 2.3B. Again, though, these are the only Ollama models that I can run decently on my Raspberry Pi, and they are too small to handle the huge database that I've given Gunter. With all that Bentley material and all that FAQ material from the Samba.com, it's too much context for these little local models to run. But if you're lucky enough to have a lot of good hardware, and if you can afford a stack of Mac Minis, you can put a seriously powerful model on your Mac Mini and run Gunter from there. So that's an option for you as well. If you're using Ollama, just again, you would just select the model you want to use this model, save, and close. And then finally, in my introduction, you heard me say, "Hey Gunter," and then Gunter responded. In order to have "Hey Gunter" functional, you'll need to get something called a Pico Voice API key. It's absolutely free. You go out on Pico Voice, there's information in the README on how to get it, get your API key, plug it in here, and then you can talk to Gunter. But until you do that, you will not have a wake word available. So there is a listen model, so you can talk to Gunter without it, but you can't go, hey, Gunter, and Gunter just responded there. Sorry, Gunter. I got to watch what I say around him.
I see your message, but I don't have the previous conversation details here. How can I assist you with your 1987 Vanagon Wasserboxer today?
Gunter's always listening. You got to remember that. So with that, those are the settings. Once you set your Pico voice in there, you'll be able to set your key in, hit save key, and then go ahead and close that. And then you'll have, once you have your API keys in, the program is ready to go and operational. Just in terms of models, you do not need an expensive model with this. There's really no need to go out and use Opus or ChatGPT 5.5, any of the latest frontier models. As I said, this model, because the database is so good for Gunter, there's a lot of information built into the program. Your AI doesn't have to be the latest frontier model. Use a faster, cheaper model. You're going to get great results anyway, and it's going to be a lot cheaper. So, all right, with that, that's the background on Gunter-AI. So what I hope is, you'll go out to the GitHub, and I'll post the link to the GitHub repo down in the description for this video, and go out and download it. There's a README with instructions on how to install the program on your computer. I would recommend using AI to help you. That's how I have done it. Again, I always go to Claude, and Claude can help you install a repo. I did that with OpenClaw and with Hermes Agent recently, and using AI to help you with AI is a great way to help you get it installed quickly. So with that, I hope a lot of you Vanagon enthusiasts who are interested in this program will go out, download it, try it out, experiment it. I can't wait for you to really put Gunter to the test, and then give me feedback on things that aren't working. When Gunter gives you a bad response, let me know, and we can work out some of these bugs together. And in time, by the time we get to Gunter 3.0, I think we're going to have a really solid candidate on our hands. One last thing before I end this video, I do want to show you something else that I'm working on that those of you Vanagon owners may be interested in. It's something called Luna Dash. Luna, by the way, is the name of my beautiful 1987 Volkswagen Vanagon. And I'm developing a Dash version of Gunter-AI. So Gunter will live in my ashtray slot. You guys all know what I'm talking about, the wonderful slot that has direct access to your radio and all the power cables there. I'm going to mount Gunter in a 5-inch or a 7-inch touchscreen TV or touchscreen monitor in my dash. And along with having Gunter-AI available right there in my dash, I'm also going to have a real-time engine monitoring program called Luna Dash running, but I'm a long ways from getting it actually up and running. I won't be able to do it, in fact, until the end of the year when I do my oil change and I can install the sandwich oil filter gauge sensor in order to hook this up. But what Luna Dash will be when it's done, let me show you. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, I'm going to be monitoring oil pressure and oil temperature through that sandwich adapter on the oil filter. Those of you who are familiar with that, I'm going to use that to capture those temperatures and then convert it from analog to digital, so that the Raspberry Pi, which will be powering the dash-mounted Gunter-AI, the Raspberry Pi can get good readings from those signals to give me, hopefully I'll be able to tune that to get accurate results. But I'll also be measuring coolant temperature with another sensor, and then I'll be capturing the voltage in the van throughout that. And then I'm going to have a system log and a warning sensor. So when these items get to a certain, so when the temperatures exceed the safe thresholds, it's going to produce a warning sound. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, it's again, it's a work in progress. I'm going to have a CarPlay and navigation system. So the right-hand side of the screen, I'm going to have Google Maps running, so be able to follow the GPS through my phone. So my iPhone will be sending the Google Map information to the Raspberry Pi, and that's going to be displayed on the right-hand side. And then also I can use it to control my stereo through the CarPlay navigation kit. But still a long ways away on that. Just wanted to give you an idea of something that I'm working on next. And hopefully by Christmas, maybe by Christmas, we'll have an operating Luna Dash as well as a Gunter AI.